Hey, what's going on, guys? Jason Frausto for TennisUnleashed.net. Today I'm doing a complete match analysis and breakdown of the 2025 Men's US Open Final between Jannik Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz. If you want to see exactly how Alcaraz beat Sinner in this match, stay tuned. It's coming up next. Before we jump into the analysis, it's important to remember that I use Nacsport elite software to collect the data and analytics on this match. There's over 13,000 unique data points. So when you're watching this, remember you can't find this information or data anywhere else in the world. One of the most important categories in tennis is points won by rally length. We know at Wimbledon, the points were skewing a lot shorter, with 1 to 4 shot points being 66% of all the points played. But what did that look like at the US Open Final? 1 to 4 shots in this match were 58% of all the points played, with Alcaraz winning 52% of those points. 5 to 8 shot points were 29% of all the points played, with Alcaraz winning 53% of those points. 9 to 12 shot points were 7% of the points played, with Alcaraz winning 67% of those. And 13 plus shot points were 6% of the points played, with Sinner taking that at 55%. One thing that people brought up about Sinner was that he served a low percentage of first serves in play in this match, and that is true. But something that's also true at the same time is not just that 48% being an issue, but it's the points that you won based on how close you hit your first serves to the sidelines when you hit your first serves. So one thing that I keep track of here is how close to the lines your first and second serves hit in the service boxes, and if you were able to win the points based on the distance that your serve landed from the sidelines. So in this match, we had first serves on the line, right? Anything hitting the line on a first serve. Sinner had 0 first serves that hit the line, so he won 0% of those points because it didn't happen for him in this match. First serves that were 0 to 1 foot from the line, he had 28 of those serves, so serves that were relatively close to the sidelines on his first serve, and he won 75% of the points when he did that. But if we look at those same exact numbers for Alcaraz, when his first serves were on the line, it happened for him 6 times. He won 100% of the points. So he won 6 points off on the line serves. Sinner didn't have that happen once in this match. So the accuracy of the serve on the line just didn't exist for Sinner. If you look at first serves that were 0 to 1 foot from the line, Alcaraz had 18 of those and won 100% of those points. So with those stats in mind, let's take a look at exactly how Alcaraz made a dent in the Sinner first serve when Sinner hit his serves close to the lines. All right, before we break this point down, let's let it play once just in real time. Sinner far side serving, flat serve out wide. Alcaraz pokes it back with a slice, running forehand from Alcaraz, lunging forehand from Sinner's slice. Alcaraz moves around, does some damage with the forehand, little defense off the deep ball from Sinner. Cross backhand there, Sinner down the line backhand, Alcaraz forehand does the damage, and then finishes off the point. All right, so let's go ahead and let's break this point down now. Sinner serving on the far side, Alcaraz returning on the near side, and returning and starting closer to kind of a zone 5 position, really far back behind the baseline. If you're not familiar with the 5-zone system, I'll put up a quick graphic on the screen so you can understand that's where you're hitting balls from and where you're hitting balls to. So again, starting back here in zone 5, moving forward, he lunges and has to hit the slice return right here. What Alcaraz is trying to do is make a really high percentage of first serve returns, get himself into the point so that he can be annoying with his footwork in a good way and make Sinner hit a lot of balls that are tough to hit closer to the sidelines. So he lunges for this return, hits a slice just to get the point started, right? He doesn't get it deep, and Sinner lines up the first ball forehand here. And we know he can really torque this type of a shot, a short sitter with the forehand, and he does. He absolutely crushes this ball. But look at where Alcaraz is with his position, right? He's back close to the back wall, definitely back in zone 5, which gives him time to chase down these balls and play some defense. So he chases this down. On the run in this match, Alcaraz was really deadly with the forehand on the run and able to turn a lot of situations around by doing things like counter damage when Sinner would damage him first. So here's some counter damage. That's a laser forehand. Just incredible on the run. How he flips the script, takes Sinner from being on offense to now being in this lunging defensive position where Sinner has to slice the ball. And Alcaraz now, even though he's still in zone 5, he's going to be looking for something really weak here. So he does look for something really weak, right? Has the rhythm. Love the rhythm of the movement. Watch the little steps, all the shuffling and all the little rhythmic steps here from Alcaraz, right? Getting perfect position on the ball so he can torque the next shot with the forehand. And now you can see he's got Sinner, right? From a position where Sinner was hitting the last ball near the baseline, zone 4 area. But because he's going to be playing defense and he knows Alcaraz is going to attack, look at Sinner backing up as Alcaraz approaches him, because Sinner is now looking to do what Alcaraz did by creating more space, which creates more time to react to the opponent's shot, right? He's trying to create space and time. And now he's on defense, hitting from zone 5, close to that wall area himself, hits it really deep, gets Alcaraz back on his back foot. When players are on their back foot like this, they're in a defensive position. It's a lot like boxing. A lot of times Alcaraz will loop balls high over the net from these defensive positions when he's on his back foot because he can't deliver his weight forward. It's going backwards. It's less offensive, right? So he'll deliver defensive balls a lot of times when his weight is backing off. And a lot of them he will play to the backhand side, these weaker shots to the backhand, because he fears the backhand side less than the forehand side. So Sinner takes the backhand here from up high, gets Alcaraz on the run again to the backhand here. Alcaraz cross court. Sinner changes direction, takes it down the line here. Alcaraz moving to this forehand. His forehand was absolutely electric. It was a lightning bolt in this match, and he just cracks that forehand there, gets Sinner lunging and reaching, and then Sinner just can't do anything with that. But if you want to know exactly how Alcaraz won a high percentage of Sinner's first serve points that were close to the sidelines like that, he won 25% of them, right? Sinner's number was only 75% of the points won. Well, it started with the fact that Alcaraz was willing to stand back a little bit further, give himself more time, play defensive chips or loop balls on the return just to make the returns. And then he's relying on his footwork and his speed, right, his athleticism to get to balls on the opposite end of the court, and knew that if he just had the opportunity, he could work himself into enough of these points to get into the Sinner service games and then break serve. So it was really Alcaraz's athletic ability, the ability to get returns in, and then play defense and turn it into offense from these positions as the point went on. That was a key to winning a high percentage of those first serve points. Let's move on to the next point now. All right, before we break this point down, let's let it play once in real time. Sinner serving far side, do side serve here. Alcaraz lunging weak return. Sinner explodes with the forehand and attacks, running Alcaraz to the backhand. Alcaraz now takes control, has Sinner moving with the forehands. Sinner spanks that forehand. Alcaraz changes direction and forces the air from Sinner, and he's really pumped up after he wins that point. Let's break it down now. I said this for 15 plus years, literally training juniors. You need to build an athlete first, because an athlete will be able to make good reflexive moves, have good balance, agility, the things that matter when things are the most difficult, when anything can happen with bad bounces and those different types of things. Having that extra layer of athleticism on top of your tennis game is critical and crucial, and athleticism was a key for Alcaraz getting into these Sinner service games. So Sinner again, serving wide. Alcaraz starting pretty far back, right? Zone 5 again, lunging and reaching right here, right? Now, for a lot of people, if you get them into this defensive position, if they're not a great athlete, they won't be able to recover for the next shot. The point might be over just off of this return right here, because Alcaraz has such good agility, balance, speed. The athletic level is so high, he can recover from these defensive positions and still get himself back into the points. And he was able to do that against Sinner. So there's the weak return right there. It's landing in zone 2. We talked a little bit about the zone system before. One thing we didn't mention yet is big and small targets. So the green balls here, anything that's green is considered a big target. That's more than 2 feet inside of the single sidelines. Small targets are anything that land in the red that is 2 or less feet from the single sideline. So this is a big target here, but it's short, and Sinner can definitely wind up and attack a short ball like that. So he takes that forehand, spanks it. Alcaraz relying on his foot speed, right? Going from one side of the court here all the way to the opposite side of the court, and knowing that, hey, I can play a little defense for a couple balls in a row, get into your service game, and I'm going to be annoying, and you're going to crack under that pressure. I'm going to turn things around from defense to offense. So he does that right here, gets Sinner on the back foot, does some damage to him with that shot, gets Sinner backing off, body weight going in the wrong direction. Very difficult to attack off your back foot. There's the short ball, right? So Alcaraz gets exactly what he wants. He takes defense and converts it into offense, does the damage right there. He's looking now for a forehand. He gets the weak short forehand right in zone 2. And now he's going to try to move Sinner around, right? And he does that, moves him around. Sinner here on the run, a little bit short and in the middle of the court. Short and middle is usually a recipe for disaster at this level. Alcaraz lining up the forehand, right? Forehand technique is obviously very good. cranks that back to the forehand side. They exchange forehand to forehand here. Alcaraz decides, I'm going to get out of the forehand to forehand exchange, and I'm going to take this ball down the line, and I'm just going to focus on moving Sinner. This is not a small target. It's very close to that red, right? It's a green big target still, but he's going to focus on moving Sinner from one side of the court to the other. When you're as tall as Sinner is, right? 6'3", 6'4", the guy's really tall. Alcaraz is a little bit shorter. When you have to get that body moving very quickly in one direction or the other, it can be very difficult to do. And Alcaraz exploited that. When you're taller, it takes longer for you to get up to top speed than someone who is shorter than you are. So Sinner, again, taller player, when these quick directional changes happen, when he changes from cross court, Alcaraz, and he takes it down the line and moves Sinner from one side of the court to the other, he's forcing quick direction changes. He is exploiting the height of his opponent and his inability to get started quicker than a shorter player and get there quicker. So change direction aggressively. Sinner sliding with the backhand on defense here, completely open stance, pretty normal. Takes that, and unfortunately for him, makes the unforced error. But it all started again with Alcaraz just being an annoying returner, relying on athleticism and being able to take himself from these defensive positions and get himself into points from defense and converting that over to offense. So incredible athleticism from Alcaraz. Again, if you're just building tennis players, you're doing it wrong. You need to build athletes first, and you need to do that very early on in the development process. We talked about how good Alcaraz was against the Sinner first serve, especially when Sinner hit his first serves close to the sidelines. But how did Sinner do against the Alcaraz first serve in this match? One thing that's really important on returns usually is the depth that you get on your return of serve. So we got zone 1, zone 2, and zone 3. Zone 3 being from three-quarter court back to the baseline. In this match, first serve return depth for Sinner, zone 3 balls, 19%, zone 2 balls, 69%, zone 1 balls, 12%. If you look at those percentages for Alcaraz, it's zone 3, 30%, zone 2, 32%, and zone 1, 38%. So we can see that in this match, Alcaraz is able to hit 30% of his first serve returns against Sinner's serve deep into zone 3, and Sinner was just at 19%. If you want to beat somebody like Carlos Alcaraz, we can't be hitting 19% of our first serve returns into zone 3. That means you're leaving a lot of short balls for Alcaraz to attack. With that in mind, let's take a look at the next 2 points now. And before we break this down, let's let it play once just in real time. Alcaraz serving on the far side, Sinner near side return, short ball there in zone 2. Alcaraz with that wonderful variety, right? Using the slice to hit a winner, disguising the drop shot. All right, let's go ahead and break this down now. We got Alcaraz serving on the far side here. Slice serve into the body. Alcaraz does a really good job with his serve. It's really difficult, but he does a very good job of disguising slice serves, flat serves as kind of like a kick serve toss. This looks closer to a kick serve toss, but what he ends up hitting is a really hard slice serve, which throws Sinner off based on this toss position, and he hits that right into the body. And Sinner can't get out of the way fast enough. Again, he's got a very large frame as far as his height. He's not a big guy, right? He's very thin, which is good in tennis. You usually don't want to be really, really bulky up top, carry most of your weight in your legs. But he can't get out of his own way because of the disguise of that Alcaraz serve, and he's a bigger guy as far as height. It's tough for him to make space and get out of the way. Alcaraz knows that and uses an aggressive slice here right at the body, jams him, which he's trying to do to force a weak and short return. He forces that right here. This lands in zone 2, very short with no pace. Alcaraz here, the incredible disguise that he has on his drop shot and his slice. He uses these two things together, the drop shot and the slice, to really throw people off. When you see Alcaraz in this position, you think a lot of times it's either going to be a huge forehand with power, right? Or it could be a drop shot, or it can be a deep slice. He has 3 options of things he can do pretty easily with this ready position. So really good kind of chess play, master of disguise type situation. But what he does, right there, it's so hard to see, but watch him right here, flips the grip to the slice. You think the drop shot's coming. Sinner doesn't know. Is it going to be really short here in zone 1? Or is it going to be a deep slice? Who knows what he's doing? But then there's that slice forehand. And then there's the winner right there. So Alcaraz did a great job of setting up that point, but Sinner wasn't getting those first serve returns deep enough. Let's move on to the next point now. And before we break this down, let's let it play once in real time. Alcaraz again serving here. Deuce side, good serve, lunge from Sinner, defense from Sinner. And then there's the easy little touch finish from Alcaraz. All right, let's go ahead and break this down now. So first serve here from Alcaraz, right? Lines it up. Hits a lot of slice serves. So these are not flat serves, right? You can see him here. The toss position, again, a little bit deceptive as far as where he's tossing the ball in relation to his body. It almost looks like it could be a kick from here. He disguises that really well. But then as he comes up, right here, he's actually going to carve a slice from a tougher position to carve a slice from. Usually you want to carve it a little bit more from the right. But again, he disguises it really well. So he's contorting his body here a little bit more to the left and bending it to disguise the toss, to not let Sinner know exactly what's coming. He does this a lot. So he takes this here, hits the hard slice. It bounces here, but it's going to curl into Sinner a little bit, right? And try to jam him. And there it is, right? He curls it in a little bit from there. Sinner's not jammed, but he's still reaching for this. Because he's reaching, it's tough to get reaching shots deep into zone 3 back here. So this lands short in zone 2. Again, with the Alcaraz forehand, he's got a lot of options when he gets into this position right here. We don't know if he's going to crush it with power, if he's going to hit a slice, or if he's going to hit a drop shot. So from here, crushes this one, right? By the time Sinner realizes where it's going, he's going to be clearly on defense, trying to hit a slice backhand. There's a slice lob. Alcaraz comes up and now just finishes up the mess. But again, what really killed Sinner against Alcaraz's first serve was the lack of depth on those first serve returns. We can't have 19% of our first serve returns landing in zone 3 and expect to win a match against Alcaraz. If you've seen this channel before, one thing that you know I like to talk about is big and small targets in these matches. I came up with big and small targets back in 2014, did a bunch of research data on it, and found some really interesting things with big versus small targets. So if you're not familiar with what big and small targets are, big targets are more than 2 feet inside the single sideline. Small targets are 2 or less feet from the single sidelines. What do the big and small target numbers look like in this match? Alcaraz's big targets in this match were 86% of all the shots he hit in the rally phase of the point. The rally phase of the point is going to be after the return of serve. So any shots after the return of serve are in the rally phase. Alcaraz had 86% of his shots as big targets and 14% as small targets. Sinner in the rally phase in this match, 89% big targets and 11% small targets. And one thing that Alcaraz did in this match with his foot speed and his anticipation, he shrinks the size of the court left to right because he's so fast. So when you go for small targets, a lot of times you have to really go close to the sidelines. Otherwise, Alcaraz can make you pay. So with that in mind, let's jump into the next series of points now. And before we break this down, let's let it play once in real time. Sinner serving on the near side. Good serve there, good deep return, picks up the forehand. There's that disguised forehand from Alcaraz where it's a drop shot, then it becomes a slice. Backhand cross from Sinner, forehand cross from Alcaraz. Small target there from Sinner, defense from Sinner, punishing shot from Alcaraz, and then Sinner misses the small target there. Let's back it up and break it down. All right, so again, Sinner serving on the near side here. Right into the body, tries to jam Alcaraz. Alcaraz does a good job, though, of not getting jammed up. Gets the return deep in zone 3, which forces Sinner, right, to kind of half volley the ball from this position. And a lot of times when a player will have to half volley a ball like this, it's tough for them to get the ball deep or hit it with a lot of pace. So Sinner here, a little defense, a little short. And Alcaraz, again, kind of the master disguise. We talked about this before. He's got 3 options from here. He can crank an aggressive forehand to either corner of the court. He can hit a forehand drop shot or hit the forehand slice, just to keep you guessing and hit that deep and keep you on your toes. So from here, there's the forehand slice. Sinner doesn't know exactly what he's going to do. So there's that chip. Sinner a little bit jammed on this one, but does a good job going to a small target right away. Alcaraz, okay, has the ability to survive multiple small targets in a point that's 2 or less feet from the single sideline. A lot of players can't survive more than 1 small target. People that don't move really well usually won't survive more than 1. Alcaraz here, though, on the run, sliding into the backhand, not only survives the small target, but look what he does with it, right? He hits it really deep back into zone 3 and actually gets Sinner to go on the back foot and back up, which is not easy to do. He's super dangerous, Alcaraz. When you spread the court like this, he's able to play great defense and neutralize and counter and flip the tables on you. Most people just can't do that. So Sinner here goes cross again, pretty deep, right? Close to zone 3. Alcaraz, such good feet, right? He's comfortable moving around, hitting a forehand, knowing that if Sinner goes to the opposite corner here, he's left the whole court open. Alcaraz feels so confident in his speed and his footwork that he's like, hey, I can run all the way over here, put myself in a kind of fairly bad position and still feel like I can cover over here and get whatever you're going to throw at me, okay? So he does that, cross here. Sinner, great backhand. We know he's got a great backhand, great technique. Takes it again to a small target right there, right? Lands right in the small target area. Alcaraz, though, covers this easily from one side of the court to the other with amazing balance. And not only does he have that great balance, but look what he does, right? This is the crazy part. This is the Nadal, the Federer, the Djokovic stuff from the past that we used to see with the big three. The ability to be on the run and do damage and flip the tables on your opponent when they have you in a bad position. So he's on the stretch, hits a rifle shot forehand, and now Sinner goes from being in control of the point, taking risk, hitting close to the sidelines with small targets. Alcaraz flips the script, now has Sinner on the defense, lunging and stretching, and Alcaraz here is looking to see if Sinner is going to hit short or what exactly is going to happen with the next shot. But he knows I'm in control. I'm moving in the court now, inside the court. I'm going to get aggressive, and then I'm going to come in behind this, and you're going to go for another small target, right? Or he does, and he can't convert. It's very hard to convert 3 small targets in a point like that. It doesn't happen very often, but it really started again with Alcaraz's ability to play defense from these small target positions and force Sinner to go close to the sidelines and see if Sinner could convert those small targets. It's really tough to do, especially, again, 3 and a point, really tough to do. So he missed that third one. Alcaraz put a lot of pressure on Sinner in this match with his feet shrinking the court. Let's move on to the next point now. And before we break this down, let's let it play once in real time. Alcaraz, ad side, second serve, kick. Sinner, pretty good return, puts him on defense, and then misses the small target right there. Let's go ahead and let's break this down now. Again, Alcaraz here does a pretty good job of disguising his flat slicing kick. This one's a little further to the left, so it definitely gives away a little bit more of that kick serve position. You can see the kick right there. Sinner does a good job here, getting inside zone 3, taking a lot of second serves from inside the baseline to try to take time away from the server and put pressure through a lack of time. So inside the baseline in zone 3 does some damage right there. Alcaraz trying to play that at forehand ends up being in a poor position and hitting a very weak shot, but he's also very confident in his footwork. We talked about this, and applying pressure with his feet and getting you to aim really close to the sidelines and miss those balls because of how fast he is. So again, here's the return. Alcaraz a little jammed, hits it very weak into the middle of the court in zone 1. This is something you don't want to normally hit. Sinner sees, obviously, massive opportunity to get aggressive, so he goes for the sideline and just misses that by a few inches wide to the small target, makes the error, and the point's over. But again, in this match, Sinner missed a lot of small targets. I'm going to give you those numbers in a minute. He missed a ton of small targets in this match, but the reason was the pressure that Alcaraz applied with his footwork. Let's move on to the next point now. And before we break this down, let's let it play once in real time. Sinner serving ad side, pops the flat serve wide, Alcaraz stretching and reaching, and there's the small target miss again. Let's break it down real quick. So Sinner here, first serve, pops it wide, okay? Decent position here. This one not nearly as close to the sidelines, but a lot of pace. Alcaraz here kind of reaching and lunging. We talked about before. His athleticism, his balance, his agility allow him to be in these defensive positions, recover, and still win points when he's in these very difficult positions. But from here, really weak return, depth pretty short. Sinner lining up to crank the forehand, really loading up his body. Alcaraz is on the opposite side of the court. But even with Alcaraz on the opposite side of the court, having to move from one side of the court all the way to the other side of the court, Sinner still feels pressure to aim very close to the sideline here to finish off the point. So he smacks it, misses it a few feet wide right here, and then Alcaraz collects that point and just again applying the pressure of those small targets to Sinner with incredible footwork and speed. So we just talked about big and small targets in this match in the rally phase of the points, but what we didn't talk about was small target accuracy. That's how many times you attempted a small target during the rally phase of the point and what percentage of those you made. For Sinner in this match, he attempted 47 small target shots in this match in the rally phase of the point, making just 49% of those. For Alcaraz, he attempted 41 small targets in the rally phase of the point and made 73% of his small targets. So that's plus 24 to Alcaraz. When someone is that accurate with their small targets, that applies a ton of pressure to the other player, having to cover a wider part of the court because your opponent is so accurate with their small targets. With that accuracy in mind, let's take a look at the last 2 points now. All right, so before we break this down, let's let it play once just in real time. Sinner serving on the far side there, second serve, kick out wide. Alcaraz with a small target off the bat, a second small target there with the backhand, and then that little filet-o volley. Incredible touch to a small target right there. All right, let's go ahead and let's break this point down now quick. So again, Sinner, second serve opportunity here, add side, kicks it wide, gets it relatively close to the sideline. Alcaraz kind of getting out of the alley, returning this from inside the baseline a little bit from zone 3, okay? Takes that, kind of hits the accidental, I think, small target here. But again, he trusts his feet so much that he knows when he hits to the wide parts of the court and Sinner could open up maybe and go down the line here against him, he trusts his feet so much to cover the open court that he's not that worried about creating these large angles for his opponents. So Sinner from the wide part of the court here gets stretched, hits the ball pretty deep into zone 3. Alcaraz from here, right, backhand right here, very solid technique. He's kind of had his backhand technique kind of change back and forth a lot in recent time, but takes the backhand from here, hits a second small target in a row. It's really difficult to hit 2 small targets in a row. And again, with Sinner having that really tall height and big frame, he's got to move from one side of the court to the other, and he tends to struggle with that more as a taller player than Alcaraz does. He's able to stop and start a lot quicker and more easily in points. So Sinner hits this and does a very good job of getting this low at Alcaraz's feet, right around knee height. But Alcaraz, phenomenal feel, and hits a third small target in a row and a point, which again is really difficult to do. I don't recommend you usually do that. Don't take this as an example of, oh yeah, Alcaraz hit 3 small targets in a row, that's what I have to do. That is definitely not what you have to do. It's just he has such good control over the ball. He's confident enough that he was able to do this. And again, he converted 73% of his small target attempts once they got into the rallies in this match. That's off the charts, extremely accurate. All right, let's move on to the final point now. And before we break this down, let's let it play once in real time. Alcaraz, deuce side serve, kick serve. Middle short, weak return, big forehand from Alcaraz. There's the scalpel right there, the accuracy and the winner finish. All right, so let's go ahead and break this down now. Again, Alcaraz serving on the deuce side, second serve. You can see a pretty clear kick serve position here again, but he does do a pretty good job of disguising it and keeping that toss within a small left to right range, which can make it tough to read for the returner. Sinner, again, really likes to take a lot of his return of serves from inside the baseline or close to inside the baseline from zone 3 to take time away from opponents. Remember, I do use heat maps and literally track where every single shot is hit from in a match, so we can clearly see with heat maps the return of serve positions that the top players take in most of their returns for first and second serves. Sinner does tend to be inside the baseline in zone 3, and his heat map typically shows that, and it did in this match. So here, weak ball to the middle third of the court, gives Alcaraz time to move around. And we talked about Sinner having a lot of short returns inside zone 2 off first serves. Here was one on a second serve. Alcaraz moves around, crushes the forehand. Sinner kind of slips. If you watch him here, watch the left foot right here, it just kind of gives out, and then he stumbles. And as soon as that happens, he's now hitting an off-balance slice forehand. It's going to be tough for him to get that deep or kind of counter Alcaraz's aggression. This is super short in zone 2 in the middle of the court, essentially. Alcaraz here, comfortable enough, obviously, to take a small target, up 5-2, love. And then there you go. And a lot of players like this, too, they will play the scoreboard a little bit sometimes. So if he's up 5-2, love, a little bit easier to go for small targets and feel more confident that you're not taking as big of a risk when you're up a break or 2 in a set and you have a little bit of a cushion. All right, guys, that wraps it up for our 2025 Men's US Open Finals analysis between Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner. We are now offering a TU Max subscription on our website, tennisunleashed.net. So go visit us and check that out, because I'm going to dive deeper into that 13,000+ data points. The one thing I will not be able to do there, though, is show you video clips of the point play like we can on YouTube. I'll just be talking about the numbers, showing you the numbers, and breaking down the numbers that I didn't talk about in the video today. So again, TU Max on tennisunleashed.net. Go sign up for that, and you can get an even deeper dive into the numbers that I didn't talk about today. If you found this video helpful, or you feel like you learned something today, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. I'm Jason Frausto for tennisunleashed.net. I'll see you next time.